Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Rob. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yeah, it might be 5 o'clock here before you know it.
Or at least I'm hoping for that.
Me too, man. Are you how are things down there? Are you getting any traction with everything going on? I mean, is what have you been up to?
No, it's well, everyone's kind of a, shelter in place perspective. We are allowed to maintain real estate functions. I was actually on a video chat that Ryan Serhant from New York, Millionaire Listing,
Yes.
provided. We had about 500 of us on it. And he was actually at his house in Connecticut or New Hampshire, one of the two. They, because they're not allowed to do anything there.
Right.
But ours is still a function of we can go and if we have to, but it's minimal. It's minimal. My wife was at the grocery store this morning, and they have now put up sneeze guards on all of the cash registers in that entire grocery store, which is
Yeah, they've
crazy.
done that here too.
Yeah.
I think Texas is one of a few states that's not fully locked down, so to speak, or whatever, or doesn't have they're a little more laxed the last time I saw the map, but I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
that really means because I mean, here you can go to the grocery store and, you know, stuff like that, but it's hardly anything else is open.
Wild, wild west here, baby.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to welcome everybody here. I see there's a handful of us here today, and we're going to talk about um, role play today. And what that means really is, role play is the function of kind of practicing how to make the calls and, working with another person to go over the scripts and, just practice that whole part of the system. So Jesse is going to throw up a couple. Why don't you take over, Jesse, and throw up your thing on the screen? Okay. So everybody hear me okay? If Jesse, can you guys hear me? There we go. Okay. I was, first of all, I just want to say, we're all in this together. This is definitely, every one of you guys on here is new, except Jesse and I, to the business, more or less. And this is not something we've seen before with all the restrictions that have been placed on everybody, where there's, justifiably there's a lot of fear out there, and people don't want to, get together and do a listing appointment or get together and look at houses. But there are still transactions taking place. There is still a lot of business out there, and this too will pass. I mean, again, this is the kind of stuff that you could be doing on a daily basis to prepare yourself and get ready, to kick ass when everything turns around. And I'll just use an example of somebody in our market here in Illinois that I know. He he had a sales background from I don't know, IBM somewhere. He was in sales, but he started in real estate. I want to say now it's probably been about probably 8 or 10 years now. And this guy, his name's Lee Marcus. He started out with no real estate experience, with only a sales background and just a drive and determination to want to do this. And he got into the same coaching program that Jesse and I did. And he's the reason why I got back into real estate 6 or probably 7 years ago, because I was at an event and in a small room, here in Chicago. And he was one of the guys up on the panel. And I looked at him and I said, listen to what he was saying. And he said, yeah, I've been in the Mike Ferry program for 5 years now. I did 785,000 GCI this last year, and I'm on pace to do 1.2 million gross commissions this next year. And I thought to myself, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you serious? Like I was thinking to myself, this little twerp up on stage, probably 6, 7 years younger than I am, and there's nothing fancy about him. If this guy can do it, I can do it. So fast forward, I joined. coaching that day because of this guy. And one of the things that I, heard about him was before he even went into the coaching program, he printed out all the scripts that Mike Ferry provided online for free, which I don't know if he still does that or not. I think you got to sign up on his website. We have the same scripts. We've changed them around so we don't get sued by Mike Ferry, but it's kind of changed around with some of the, stuff that you'll hear in role play. If you role play with people, everybody, you want to take the basics of the scripts and you want to make them your own. And how do you do that? You practice them. Some people practice scripts by reading them over and over and over again for a half hour to themselves. Some people sing the scripts. They make a song out of it so they remember it. The key is you want to get it ingrained into your subconscious so you automatically know what the next question you're going to ask is to the client or prospect. And that's what this guy Lee Marcus did. He took 2 weeks off from his other job before he even started in real estate or before he even started with the coaching, and he learned all the scripts for 2 weeks. And I thought to myself, what a nerd. This guy took, just practice scripts for 2 weeks. These scripts are ridiculous. They're goofy. Well, lo and behold, that guy's making about $3 to $4 million right now today. So whatever he did worked. Have I followed that exact process? No. Have I done role play and practice scripts? I did. Do I still do it? Honestly, I don't. And that could be why I'm not doing $1 million a year and why I'm, kind of plateaued. But I did this a lot to get from the point of 50,000 up to 500K in a short period of time. The first 2 years I did this a lot, every week, 30 minutes a day, sometimes more than that. And then eventually I, went down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But there's so much that goes into, practicing these things and learning them. But the key is you have to do it somehow, some way if you're going to get good at it. It's just like shooting a basketball or, playing football or a sport. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. And if you have a coach or you have somebody else you're playing with, for, example like this, somebody that you're role playing with, they're going to be able to point out little things here and there that you might be doing, you could do better, or things that you're doing good, or the way that you're, what you're saying or whatever. And, it's going to help you tremendously to be working with somebody else, but you can learn these on your own. You get the scripts, you just practice them for 30 minutes a day, and that's, 5 days a week, and you're going to be good at it really quickly. So practice makes perfect. And again, we have role play groups. We can connect you with role play groups through our coaching and our group. So if you want to do that, let us know. And we did send that out last week. There's some role play groups in there. If you're having trouble with it, let me know. Jesse, go to the next slide, please. Jesse, you got anything to say about that?
So I'll be honest, we have a lot of cool little things in our book. Our book is not long, but it has a lot of these like concrete principles in there. So if you flip through that thing on your phone, your iPad and all that, and you're just like looking for some nuggets, there's some really good stuff about role play and scripts and sales in there. That is really some of the best stuff we learned in like the last decade. And some of that is how to learn scripts and like, it's not even memorizing word for word. It's memorizing the framework of the script. It's like a guide, right? I don't know if you agree with that, Steve, but
yeah, it's a guide. You want to memorize the basic principles and the basic, the first 3 or 4 questions, and then you want to make it your own.
You're learning how to communicate, really, which is the skill that we're practicing.
Selling is not telling. As real estate agents or salespeople, we often have the habit of telling people what we think they want to hear. Like, oh, the market's great. You should do this, you should do that. Selling is asking a series of questions to get a desired result. And if you look at the scripts, they're going to be question based. So you're going to be asking people questions like, when you sell this house, where do you plan to move to next? And part of the learning of this is you want to listen to what they say.
You want to shut up and stop talking.
Become a good listener. Please become a good listener. That's the most important thing here. One of the most important things is you want to listen to what they say And then you ask the next question. If they say, well, I don't know where I'm going to move. Okay, great. So you're not sure where you're going to move to. Well, tell me more about that. You know, what's your reason for putting the house on the market?
And what are we listening for? We're listening first. The first thing we're listening for, not just the words they say, we're listening for their personality.
Personality, and really we're listening for their motivation, because you're going to want to use their motivation to trigger them to take action. But Jesse's talking about personality. So
yeah. So let me tell you a quick story. So when I started in sales, I was 19. I dropped out of college because I was like, you know what? College is not for me. I want to go sell. I want to make money. I started doing door-to-door sales in a suit, carrying a briefcase, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, pounding on people's doors, trying to shove stuff down their throat to buy. Well, I learned very fast because I got 90 no's. My goal every day was to talk to 100 people. I would circle a neighborhood. I'd get like 150 doors. I knew if I had 150 doors, I'd probably talk to 100 people. And I went around that neighborhood about 4 times in a day. And cross people off. No. I was looking for those 10 yeses. I had to learn in like 10 seconds how to determine what kind of personality this person was. Because you're at their front door. You're like standing. They're like, I wasn't expecting you to show up. Why are you here? Same thing with the phone call. Yes. What do you want? Who are you? You have to really fast find out what kind of personality this is. Why? Anybody have an answer why do you think personality is so important to find out as fast as you can? Anybody have an idea?
How motivated they are to do something, how excited you are about the product you're selling.
Yes, and yes. What else?
That's a good point. And anybody else?
To match their personality and their level of conversation, I guess.
Ding, ding.
Right. So really what this comes down to is something that we learned, you know, are there more than 4 personality styles? Probably, but these are the most prevalent ones. You can pretty much break every person up in the world into one of these 4 different categories. And why does that matter? Both things that you guys said, yes, are important, but the main reason this matters is because based on what personality style a person is, will give you a better insight on how they prefer to communicate, therefore how you can communicate with them to make them take action more, you know, quickly, or more, you know, to get them to buy, basically. You want to be able to communicate with them in a way that is going to make sense to them so they pull the trigger and sign the contract. That's it.
And this little graph I put up, right, little chart I put up, this actually helps you determine as fast as possible what kind of personality they are by knowing, do these people make fast decisions, slow decisions? Are they high emotion or low emotion? If you can identify those 2 things, their decisions are fast or slow, and their emotion is high or low, you can usually kind of know how you should communicate to them. A driver personality, get it over with. Hurry up. I don't got time. I don't got a bunch of emotion. Don't tell me your sappy story. Get to the point. On the extreme opposite, you have an amiable person, right? They want to get to know you. Oh, you know, they want to make sure they don't offend you. They're not going to.
They're going to react. They're going to act on an emotional trigger. So if you want to get very, you know, close to them and say, you know, so if you want to find out the motivation, so maybe their motivation is we want to move to Florida to get closer to our grandkids. Oh, that's great. I completely understand. So you want to sell your house so you can move to Florida and you can get closer to the grandkids. Tell me more about that. What's that going to do for you? And they're going to be like, oh my God, I just love my how many grandkids do you have? Blah, blah, blah. You know, you really want them to get emotional and make an emotional connection with them. A driver, I'm a driver. Just tell me how much the house is going to sell for and give me the paperwork. I don't give a shit about any emotions or how great you feel about your job or, you know, all the statistics in the market. I don't care. I need to sell my house because I'm moving to Florida. How much can I sell it for? How long is it going to take? What's going to cost me? Let me sign the paperwork. Next. So in a case like that, so let me walk you through this. On the phone, you're talking to prospects. I usually talk to expired, canceled, for sale by owners. Let's say I'm talking to a canceled. And I get somebody on the phone, I go through the script, I ask them a couple of questions. I realize very quickly that they're a driver, all right? That, yes, what do you want? I'm moving because I got to do this, that, and the other. Great. You know what? How's this? I'm gonna be in the area tonight at 5 o'clock. Do you mind if I stop by real quick? It'll just take 10 minutes, in and out. I can take a look at the house, give you a price, show you what we can do to sell it, and we'll go from there. If it works out, great. Bam. Okay, they're going to react a lot better to that than they are, John, how would it feel if you sold your house in 30 days or less, or what? They're going to hang up on you. So you want to, and the way that you can figure out what type of personality they are is by the way they talk and answer the questions, all right? And you want to, as you're talking to them, you can find out what kind of work they do. That's going to give you a clue too. Typically, an analytical is going to be somebody that cares about the numbers, the facts, the figures. Might be an accountant, a financial advisor, an attorney. Those are going to be your analyticals. So what you're going to want to do with an analytical is, once you figure that out, you're going to want to dazzle them with charts, graphs, and numbers. So when you go to the listing appointment, you're going to make sure you go in there and show them how many homes have sold in the neighborhood, how many are for sale, what the market time is. You want to work with facts and figures, okay? And an expressive, Jesse, why don't you tell me about that?
So if you're talking with an expressive, you actually want them to do the talking as much as possible, because that's what they want to do. They like to talk and they like to have an emotional connection with you.
Be in control. You want to be in control.
And you're going to talk about, hey, how beautiful. What about your house is the most exciting thing that we could promote? Oh, it's the living room. My living room is so beautiful. We decorated. We painted it one wall orange and one wall blue, and we have this flower. Oh, it's just so amazing and beautiful. And I think people are just going to love it. That's what an expressive is going to.
Oh, they're definitely going to love that. That's what people are looking for. They want to have the accent wall. That's perfect. Show me more. And they're going to talk, and they're going to talk, and they're going to talk, and they're going to talk. And it's very important. I personally, because I'm a driver, I don't have patience for expressives, but
get it over with.
Get it over with. However, I have gotten a lot of business over the years because I've learned that they are expressive and they are going to talk and they're going to want to be in control. So I sit and bite my tongue and I listen and I listen and I say to myself, all right, I'm going to be here for another 30 minutes. That means for every 30 minutes, I'm going to make $1,000. For every 30 minutes, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. It's going to be $10,000. Whatever you got to do to sit there and be quiet and listen, you got to do it. So driver, they want to make a quick decision, low emotion. Expressive, they're going to have high emotion. They're going to make a fairly fast decision, but you want to listen to them. Analytical, very low emotion, very slow decision. You're probably going to have to come back a second time unless you really are a great presenter with numbers and figures. Amiable, sometimes they make a slower decision, definitely react on emotion, but that's going to be, the way I look at amiable is kind of like you're going to a listing appointment with your, with like your grandma or something, and she's on the listing appointment. She's going to be very sweet and nice and probably do what you want to do as long as you're nice to her.
Hey guys, quick question.
Yeah.
So have you all determined that with all of these personalities that there's a varying function depending on where you live? So in other words, you're driving, the first thing that comes to mind is East Coast, get in, get out, that high hustle bustle.
No.
But man, in Texas, you're going to get more of, let me tell you the stories.
No, it doesn't have anything to do necessarily where you live. It's going to be, it's a personality, individual personality. So you're going to have 25% of the population is going to fit into one of these four boxes in Timbuktu or Texas.
Yeah. So actually drivers is their least amount of the population is only about 10%. I was told, I think in the versatile selling, it says drivers is about 10% of the population, 25%, 30% and like 30%. So this drivers are the least, you'll run into them the least, but what's important about all of this too, and is that even on a text message or an email, like if I look at my text thread with Steve, for example, mine's got big old blue chunks and he's got one word. Okay. He's like, no, yes. Okay. Right. So pay attention to this when you're texting. You can, I mean, an expressive is going to have emojis flying all over the place. Okay. So pay attention to when you're texting someone or when you're emailing someone. It's not even, you don't have to be on the phone. You could be like, oh, I sent them a one sentence message and they replied with, I'm not really interested right now because I saw a chart that said the market's going down by 10%. Okay. You got an analytical, right? So pay attention in all forms of communication, looking for the personality and how you're communicating.
And if two agents go into the same go meet with the same prospect on an appointment, and who are they going to normally go with? The person that they can relate the most with. Each agent, has got their own method of how they're going to sell the house or whatever, but it ultimately comes down to kind of a gut decision of who they feel most comfortable with. Yeah. And if you're able to figure out what type of personality style they are and make them feel good, you got a good chance of being that person. Now, we'll end with this and say there's a book. If you want to get one of the top 5 books out there for selling, it's called Versatile Selling. This will explain personality styles way better than we can. It'll tell you why it's important and what to say and how to react. So that's on our book list. Versatile Selling.
Right here.
Larry Wilson.
Is that it?
Yep. That's it. Green book.
Yeah. So go get that.
If anybody wants to borrow my book because they can't afford it, let me know and I'll mail it to them.
It's a short book. It's a very short book. But
all right, so let's go on to the next one, Jesse.
Mirroring and matching. So I think Tony, somebody had said this already, like mirroring and matching is, again, part of this personality. It's building rapport without even having to say anything sometimes, right? And you want it to be subtle. You don't want to be extremely obvious and awkward about matching people. And when we say mirroring and matching, we mean mirror what they are doing and how they're talking, how they're communicating, and match it. Okay. So you want to do exactly what they're doing. So their tonality, the speed that they speak with, their rate of speech, the volume that they speak with. If they talk really soft, like you could tell that by the time they say hello, you should be able to tell, oh, hello. You should be able to respond with that same. You got to be just ready. Like you can't be like, hello, yeah, I'm calling about this. If they say hello, you say hello. You just want to match it immediately because it creates rapport. You don't even realize how powerful it is, but just subconsciously you're connecting with them already with the first word because you match their tonality.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the book, but there's a new book that came out with that guy. Don't Split the Difference. He talks about this in length. If you want to get that book, it's a guy that is a negotiator with the FBI. He teaches negotiating. So what Jesse's saying is right on, and this can be in person or it can be over the phone. So over the phone, this is a big deal, and this is mirroring and matching is something that you can do. And believe me, I forget sometimes to do the, to figure out what kind of personality style they are. But the easiest thing you can remember to keep this simple is mirror and match each call, and you're going to eventually find out the personality style just by default. But this is the best way to create a rapport with somebody. So like Jesse said, if you're calling people, prospects, and the person on the other line, I literally try to, every other call that I answer, if you're sitting in the room with me when I'm on the calls, you're going to hear me have a completely different tone, rate of speech, everything with everybody that I talk to. So if somebody answers the phone and Jesse, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse. Hi, this is Steve with eXp Realty. How are you doing today?
Doing good. What's up?
Great. Okay, so you see how I just automatically go into being kind of upbeat and hyper like him? That's what I want to do throughout the whole call. All right. And then a lot of people will answer the phone like in a totally different manner. Ring.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, this is Steve with eXp Realty. I was calling about the house that I saw was for sale over on 123 Main Street. But that's how you want to talk. And you'll be amazed. I get people on the phone every day that sound like they're on Thorazine. They're like, you know, on the operating table, the way they talk. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. That's my house. So what I want to mirror and match them as close as possible to the volume, to the rate of speech, to the tone. They're not going to know you're doing it. They think that you're their brother at that point psychologically. It matters. It makes a big difference. You want to mirror and match. And then when you're at the table, Jesse, when you're at the listing table, you want to watch their mannerisms. And, you know, if they're like, yo, you know, they're all over the place, you want to be all over the place because they're going to react and respond to that. Yeah. If they've got their hands like this.
Or folded, yeah.
You want to put your hands like that, you know? So all those things are going to make people feel more comfortable, more likely to buy from you, more likely to sign the contract, and, you know, create rapport on a much higher level.
So even repeating what they say, right? Like they say, you know what, I'm just kind of discouraged right now about the economy and I don't know what to do about selling or buying. Say that back to them. Look, I understand, you know, it's easy to be discouraged about the economy and everything right now. You want to say it right back to them, like the actual words, say the exact phrase. I used to think, oh, I probably should say a different word so I don't sound like but there's something about like a bond and a rapport with them when you say the exact phrase, because that's what they're saying. That's what they're thinking. And when you say it, they're like, yeah, you're saying what I'm saying, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's the other part that I didn't talk about. It's a great point, Jesse. Mirroring and matching, repeat and affirm. Never, ever, ever, ever make somebody wrong. I do it all the time. No, Jesse, that's not right. Jesse, that's not right. You're not supposed to say that. This is how it is. Jesse, I appreciate that. You're exactly right. You should repeat what they say. So you're on a call. Real simple stuff here. You listen to what they say. Yes, you know, if I sell the house, I was planning to move to Florida. Great. So if you sell the house, you're planning to move to Florida. Is that what you're saying? Yes. So I want to repeat and affirm. I want to, you know, I don't want to say, great, you're moving to Florida. Why would you move to Florida? It's a bunch of, you know, it's 90 degrees down there. You don't want to ever, nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be felt like they were wrong or be made wrong at all. So repeat what they say the same way that they say it and be positive and reaffirm it. Yes, that sounds great. That's where everybody's moving. I wish I could move to Florida. Perfect. So what about Florida is so important to you? Whatever, okay? Make me feel important.
Yes.
What's that mean, Jesse? MMFI? What is that at the very bottom?
I'm looking at everybody's forehead right now. You guys are amazing, by the way. You know what?
Just to show up for this, you guys are great.
Yeah, and look at every one of your foreheads. I'm looking right now. You guys have the letters MMFI. Why? Because everybody's saying, I want to feel important. Please make me feel important. Make me feel great. You know, everybody's beating me up. I beat myself up. My spouse beats me up. The economy beats me up. Make me feel good, please. That's what people want. Like, tell them, hey, you know what? You chose the perfect time to sell your house. You know, you're made a smart decision by thinking about moving to Florida. Make them feel good. Make them, they're going to love you for that. Who doesn't want someone that like makes them feel important, right? So,
and Jesse, I really appreciate everything you do for us here. You're doing a great job. You really are. We would not be having this without you.
Yes. They want to hear that. They really do, guys.
All right. Role play tips. Why don't you go over some of this stuff, Jesse?
Is everything making sense so far? Everybody
any
taking
questions
notes
right now? Any questions?
Reaffirming what everybody already knows?
I make my wife feel important every day.
There you go. Oh yeah, that's an important one.
Yes, your kids have it on there too, right? They do. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Okay, some quick role play tips. If you who's played sports? Has anybody played sports before? Anybody been? I mean, as a kid, even you played sports, yeah.
Or even like, you know, have you ever you know, had played an instrument? Anything.
How much time do you spend like practicing before you actually do the performance? You spend like every day 30 minutes playing your instrument, every day going to practice for 2 hours, and then you have like one game that week. Somehow like we think, oh, we can just kind of wing it and get by, just kind of, no one will know. No, people do know. They sense your confidence, they sense your professionalism, they sense that you are an expert. They can tell when you speak with authority. And so practicing at least 30 minutes a day helps you do that. So these are real quick tips. One thing I've done, and it's very uncomfortable, is to actually, at first anyways, is to video record yourself doing role play with somebody. And for years I've done a Zoom call or a FaceTime call, and I'll record it so that I can later on play it back and be like, oh man, I really need to work on that, you know? So record a call either on the phone or like a Zoom chat is a great way to do it, because then you have the visual aspect of it as well. You want to tackle a couple of these too, Steve?
Yeah. So yeah, so I've done a lot of role playing, and you know, you want to also find somebody. You want to role play with somebody that is at least your caliber or more experienced. It's going to help to do that. And you know, we have role play groups within our group, but I'm pretty sure there's role play groups within the EXP community as well. So if somebody is really stuck on this, and I don't know the level of participation that the other people in our group on the WhatsApp have. If you're really having trouble with that and you're saying, Steve, I can't get a role play partner, let me know and I will help you with that. We'll get you into a group, or I'll role play with you a couple times a week. But I've used this more for like listing appointments too. You know, I would go through the listing appointment presentation over a Zoom call like this with another agent in coaching. And, you know, we would sit there and critique not just what we were saying, but our mannerisms and, you know, looking each other in the eye and all that kind of stuff. And it helps tremendously, because when you get to the table for a listing appointment, you know, you're already programmed on what to say. And, you know, you want to have feedback from the other person, because there's going to be many times when they take you off your game or take you off script, and you want to learn how to get back on script and what the right thing to say next is. So when you're role playing with somebody, you don't have to go by the script on the receiving end of, you know, being the client. You want to throw some curveballs at them, and they're going to do that to you, and it gets frustrating and it can be uncomfortable, but hey, that's how it's going to be in the real world. So you want to make it as real as possible.
Make it real.
The most important thing is, though, to stick to the script on your, you know, from a presenter standpoint. Okay. And what happens a lot of times is they'll ask a question and you don't have an answer for it. It completely throws you off, and then you get thrown off completely. So what has been suggested to me is you repeat and affirm. In worst case scenario, you say, I'll find out for you on that. I'm not 100% sure. So when you do move to Florida, have you already found then go to the next question on the script. Okay. So you want to repeat and affirm, tell them you'll get an answer for them after we meet, go to the next question. So you always want to continue to go along the script to the next question. And like I said, you know, first thing would be to learn these internally by repeating, you know, just practicing by yourself for a week straight, 30 minutes a day, and then get a role play partner and start working the role play. This is a perfect opportunity, guys. We're not doing shit right now. I know nobody's not, because I know what I got going on, and it's people are not, there's not as much activity right now with appointments. So this would be a great time for everybody. I highly suggest everybody figure out exactly what their goal is for the rest of the year, figure out a plan, business plan, start to look at these scripts and get them internalized, and, you know, be prepared, because I really feel like April, right after Easter, I'm going to start doubling up on everything as far as calls and all that, because people are going to start getting antsy. They're going to start getting ready to put their house back in the market. And I don't want to wait to get all my shit together before then. I want to be ready and prepared in every aspect of my business when that time comes. You know, it's not that I'm sitting here doing nothing now, but I'm just saying this would be a good time to get everything organized, start learning these scripts, and, you know, make a business plan and set it into play.
We're building a skill set that will last us for the rest of our life. Like Warren Buffett has said, the most important skill set to learn as a business professional is communication. So the skill set we're learning, it's something that's going to apply to every area of your life. First of all, all of your relationships personally, but professionally, for the next 50 years, you're going to need to communicate with people and influence people and have good communication skills. So this is like a lifelong skill set that's more valuable than, I'm sorry to say, but it's more valuable than your college degree, is learning how to communicate with people. And so like, this is worth investing in, your time and practicing with people. And last thing I want to say on this is do not get offended. When we all start, we all suck, but guess what? If you do it long enough, eventually you suck less, right?
Right.
So it's okay. It's okay to suck in the beginning. You always suck in the beginning. It's like your kids learning to ride a bike. They fall down, but if they stop and they like, I can't do it, and they get all, you know, have a fit about it and don't want to do it anymore, then you're like, you don't learn, you don't grow. So you have to have some thick skin and say, you know what, this person's going to tell me that I said 500 times. If you said 500 times, so what? Write that down. Okay, I got to practice not saying 500 times.
I was doing that. We were at a prospecting clinic about 2 years ago, and one of the guys that's now in our group, Michael Ireland, was standing right next to me. And, you know, he's like put up on this pedestal as this guy that's been doing this forever, and he's just a rock star. And he was listening to me prospect. And he's like, he goes, man, you know, first of all, he's just so diplomatic. He's like, man, you do a really great job, Steve, blah, 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 blah. He goes, one thing that I noticed is you say a lot. And I mean, I started to pay attention to that, and holy crap, I was saying like every other word. And I didn't realize it's because I hadn't been role playing and I hadn't been practicing. I've been in my own head doing my own thing. And I'll tell you, man, as soon as I got out of that clinic and started to implement that and realize what I was saying, it helped tremendously. I mean, it was a game changer.
My prayer coach told me we say and because we don't have confidence about, and we don't know what we're going to say next. We don't have any guidelines.
That's why it's important to learn these scripts and just be able to rattle them off.
Hey, Steve, let me do an add-on real quick on that same note. So back at intelligence school for the Air Force, when we would do our practice briefings, one of the things that they would heavily push upon us, because of that, you're getting up in front of people, you don't want to have that and and you don't want to have that mental break there, is when you're in front of people practicing, they say it back to you when you say it. So if you're in the middle of a sentence, you say right immediately when they say it back, they realize how many times you say it, and you break of that habit real quick. Believe me, that might help too.
Wow.
That's good.
Okay.
I like
That's
that.
Good.
That's really good.
Yeah. All right. So, one more thing.
Okay.
Make me feel important. That's I'm going to go back to that real quick. It's a tough thing for everybody in sales. Make me feel important. What I heard was everybody cares about themselves, and really that's what it comes down to. Nobody really cares about me. All right. So other than this coaching thing, nobody listens to me. That's why I like this coaching thing so much, because I can talk and give all the information. Everybody's just listening. But when you're with a client at, talking about listing the house, nobody gives a shit about you. They really don't. They
really
only
don't.
care about them, their motivation, and getting their house sold and their money. So you want to make them feel important. And it's so hard for me to do. It's just shut your mouth and listen. It's the hardest thing in this business for me. And it is for a lot of people. So make me feel important is more than just making them feel important. It's realizing that they don't care about you. They really just care about getting their house sold and themselves. And that's that's the truth. That's humanity. So it may be harsh, but that's the truth. And I also, before we get to the questions and answers, I am going to send out 2 text messages to everybody on the call and everybody that's been in coaching here. You can use either one of them to send out to friends, family, past clients, database between now and the end of the day. And if you send out 50 of them, I can almost guarantee you one of those is going to turn into a deal over the next 6 months. So it'll take you, 20 minutes, but it's an easy way. Text one of these messages to them, and you're going to probably get 1 out of every 5 or so people respond, but you will end up getting a bit business out of it. It's just a follow up with your clients. So I'll do that. Any questions?
Does anybody have any scenarios that they want to role play real quick? Maybe even if it's a 1-minute phone conversation you're going to have with somebody and you're like anxious about it and you want to get some feedback from the group. This is a great time to, hey, this is my scenario. I don't know what to say. Anybody have a scenario like they want to run through?
Hey, so Jesse, this is Zygmunt out here out of Chicago. I've been taking this stuff to heart, and I've been on the phone more than I can ever imagine I was on the phone calls, but been making a lot of cold calls, and I've had a group of people I've talked to. I'm not in Steve's level or, people making 60, 70 calls a day, but I've been making about 20. And so so far this week I made 100.
Awesome.
And 2 things is I found 4, I'll call them nuggets out of them, just 4. But they all want to buy a house. Nobody's calling them. Nobody said anything about Corona. Nobody said anything about anything other than, I'm in the mood to buy it. And it came from a list that I gathered from a mortgage broker who just doesn't have the time to get to them. And so I made out my script for it so I don't do the ums. I caught myself doing that as well. And then secondly, just a shout out to you. I took this KV Core email thing blast pretty seriously. One, I found out how really I suck at this KV Core thing. And 2, I kind of built up a program around it, and I'm getting hits on it already. So, so it does work. I'm not really good at it, but I'll get better at it. And then 3, I have been organizing the database. Things have changed. I call them people, hey, no, I don't live there anymore. I'm renting. I got to buy a house, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's scripts for that and so on and so forth. So it does mean a lot to go over these things. I would be interested. That was my next step, is to go over these scripts and join one of these groups. I'm happy to be a guinea pig, and I do think it's meaningful and impactful in front of a customer. And I also want to say that knowing who this person is, if he's a driver, if he's, they're very data conscious. Ran into one of those, and I've had people to, call me, I call them and they, told me to F off and die. So that's okay too. So it's just, you never know who you're going to get until you get them. But these scripts I think are pretty helpful. That's the next thing I want to accomplish. So just want to let you know I'm listening to what
great feedback. And kudos to you for getting out of your comfort zone and stretching and learning this is what this season's all about. I just signed up for a new course to learn some skills right now, because I'm like, I'm going to be home. I have a little bit of extra time that I would be driving somewhere. I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day learning a new skill set or advancing. So kudos to you for doing that. In fact, Steve, maybe we can offline, we could talk about creating like a formal role play group or just like a sign up form or something where people can find out what times people are available. And maybe we'll plug people together.
And I'll just, I'll bring it up to you guys that are pros and selling these houses and have been in it for a while. So just my last comment is, I did run into a customer that for the first time I've ever run into a potential customer saying, are you in my area? Are you specifically in this area? And the area, quite frankly, I had to look up on a map where it was. It was way north of me. I said, it really doesn't matter. And maybe I said it wrong already, but, we sell a lot of homes over the Chicagoland area, regardless of, your location. That's how I handled it. And they specifically wanted, an agent in this particular area. I probably know more about the area than the agent does just by doing the homework I did.
Yeah.
But they wanted to go with an agent locally. That was a deal. That's a $320,000 house they're living in right now. So that's pretty average for the normal around, or at least where I'm at.
So a great immediate question when someone asks me something that other than we have objection handlers, but the first thing to ask people when they give you an objection, a lot of times is to ask, why is it important for you to have an agent that's in the area? And they're going to tell you. Because I want to know that they know how many homes are selling and they know about the street and the school that's down the street. Then they tell you exactly why that's important, and then you can handle that objection even better than just saying, it doesn't matter because I can get all that data. Hey, you know what? I understand it's really important for you to know that the agent is aware of the school ratings and all those things. And actually, lucky for you, I actually spend a lot of time every week studying what the school ratings are and what the market's doing in all the neighborhoods. In fact, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to actually drill down a little deeper than I normally would, just so that I can make sure I give you all the facts and the data that you need to know. And so you feel comfortable and confident. Isn't that what you really want? They're like,
that's cool. Yeah.
So now you're like really personalizing it to them, other than just giving them, we have a generic, script outline for specific, why do you need to be in this area? But ask them, why is it important for you to have an agent that's, in the area or local to you?
And another thing that I say, and I believe me, I don't know if I'm right or wrong in this, but they say, well, are you in this area? And I said, what I say is, yes. Well, we have 12 different offices around the Chicagoland area, and we have one close to you. And then if I can do it quickly enough, like if it's in the northwest suburbs, I'll say we have an office in Schaumburg. If it's in the southwest suburbs, we have one in Orland Park. And do we? Yes, we do, because we have a contract with Regis Office Space, and we actually have addresses at like 12 different areas. So I'll just throw that out there and go to the next question. And I did that a couple times recently, and it worked. It's like, I've got to follow up with them in next week. Oh, we have an office in Schaumburg. I knew they were in like Buffalo Grove or something. And they're like, oh, okay, Schaumburg, good. Yeah, so, what's your schedule like today? And you just go on. So there's some people, and that's, Jim, that's a great question. That's one of the hardest ones for me sometimes to overcome, because people can be hardcore about that. But we've got like 5 or 6 different objection handlers, hey, that's a great question. We actually sell homes in all the counties around the Chicagoland area and just about every township. And you want to know what's great about that? Well, the great thing is I have signs. I have over 25 signs myself in different areas. So we're capturing leads of people that are buying and selling and moving all around the Chicagoland area. You do want to capture leads everywhere, don't you? All the buyers, the market.
Oh,
you can twist it a million different ways, but we do sell, eXp really sells homes in every town in Northern Illinois. So
yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Anyway, any other questions? All right, we're getting late here, so I'm going to send out that text message. Give me about 15 minutes. I'll send that out if I don't right away. And if there's no more questions, we'll end it there.
Yep. Make sure you got role play on your schedule. Reach out. Go for it.
How about, being a newer agent, not many transactions, how do you handle those, the question of how many transactions have you had?
Tony, you're
I
on.
know with us, I use the team transactions in my favor. So I have that advantage, but someone else that doesn't have the team aspect, how would you handle that?
That's a great question, Tony. And, I'm with eXp Realty and we sell over 1,000 homes, or whatever. We sell over 5,000 homes a year here in the Chicagoland area. So are you looking for somebody that sells a lot of homes? We're the #1 independent brokerage in the country right now. So when you do move to Florida, what's your time frame like for moving? Well, you just go to the next question. Yeah. So, when I first I'm just trying to think out loud here. When I first started at Remax and, the year before I did 5 or 6 transactions and I'm calling all these expireds and they said, well, how many homes have you sold? Well, I sell a lot of homes. We've sold over 500 homes in the last, 6 months here at our office. And you could say that for eXp and really eXp is an independent brokerage. We're all under the same umbrella. You could say we did over $1 billion in sales. Who cares?
Yeah. Leverage the group, whether it be a team or the office or the company.
Have something that you're going to say though. And what I always say is, well, over the last 6 months, I've personally sold over 35 properties. And you can say over the last 6 months, our team has sold over 50 properties. Oh, you're on a team? Yes, I'm on a team. You could all say that. Okay, you're on my team. You could use my statistics or somebody in your office if it comes down to it. You don't want to tell them I just started and I only sold, I did a rental. You just don't want to tell them that. You want to leverage the team or the office or eXp in general, and you want to have a canned response.
I'll upload a bunch of objection handlers too that has all of these. I think I forgot to put those in the member area. So I'm gonna upload objection handlers for every situation you can imagine, so you guys can role play those.
Any other questions?
Hey, Steve, not so much a question, but I was having problems getting on and to the team site here. Do I talk to you or Jesse or I think I sent an email out saying that my email or password, I can't find what I would have gotten.
Okay, so if you go to Extreme Agents VIP, scroll down here to the bottom where it says active member. Click on that. And it's going to ask you for your login. If it doesn't work, click on forgot password and it should give you send you an email as long as you're using the same email that you created it with.
So it wouldn't give me the option to create. That's what I was going to ask. So I could pull this offline, but
okay. Why don't you shoot me a text or something or email and we'll get it resolved.
Give them your contact information real quick, Jesse, in case they don't have it.
My cell phone's 510-579-5522.
55.
Just, I had that same problem, and once I did it the second, I don't know who's talking, but the second time I did it, I went through it, it logged me right in. I haven't had a problem since, so but I had the same issues, but you talked me through that. So.
Okay, yeah, try to reset it. If it doesn't, then I can reset it manually as well on the back end. It's a new software. It's our first membership site we've set up with this tool, so it may have a hiccup or two that I don't realize. So.
Okay, I'll try immediately after this. If I can, I'll call you, Jess. Thanks.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. I'm going to send you guys a text message here shortly. And any questions, just reach out anytime, okay?
Yeah, and then we'll talk about next week. I want to talk to you guys about Airbnb. Airbnb is going to be a big opportunity for people that are going to want to sell because they're crashing and burning, and short-term rentals are kind of gone right now. So,
that's a good source of leads, by the way, is just rentals, right? What is it?
Short-term rentals, they're called short-term
rentals in general. So if you want to if you're having trouble finding business right now, go to Craigslist or wherever the rentals are listed. If they're just like somebody renting their house out, a home, and you can get these lists too through like RedX, but you could call them and just say, hey, I saw you had your property for rent. I was wondering if you had any interest in selling the property. And, you know, 1 out of 25 of those might be more than that, it's going to be a seller. But if you can convince them that you could get it sold or whatever, and it might be a listing.
Yeah. So if next week anybody wants to put their heads together about how to tackle prospecting for Airbnb and looking for the ones that say, you know, whole house for rent that are vacant, we can put our heads together and find out a way to prospect those people and send them a good message here in the coming weeks, because they're going to get hit hard. So.
All right, guys. Sounds good.
All right. Cheers.
Talk to y'all
Everybody be
soon.
safe. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.